All right, Sam, before we start the show, I need to see if you're doing okay.
Yeah, I'm good. Why?
Well, What If hasn't been very kind to your favorite Marvel character.
That is so true.
Yeah, it's like Marvel Studios is on a mission to make us relive Tony Stark's death as many times as humanly possible.
We've seen Iron Man die more times than Bruce Wayne's parents.
Oh,
ouch.
That's not right, Nate.
That's terrible. It is true, though. Every single episode of What If that has had Tony in it in any way has shown him die.
No, it's just not right.
Okay. Well, hopefully recording this episode can help you work through your grief.
Probably not.
All right. We'll get into this week's show after Sam takes a moment to compose himself. This is Tatooine Sons.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody listen to that.
It's been too long since we've seen it. It's been like almost a whole week.
I know, that's rare for us.
No, we didn't see it last weekend, did we?
No, we didn't see it last weekend.
It's been a while.
No, we
were busy. We were volunteering in the morning on Saturday and football games in the afternoon and Sunday Bronco games. So it took it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. That's what you just heard in that intro. We are the only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature and to be endorsed by the genius filmmaker Ryan
He makes a point.
Johnson. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of our generation, that there is a story, and it is written on our souls. We're going to talk about that story a lot today. These myths speak to that story, and that is why we are talking about What If Killmonger Rescued Tony Stark, and the Hawkeye trailer, and the Knights of the Old Republic.
Interesting.
That are coming out. I am David.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Father.
Hello, I am the dad. I am honored to be joined every week by my two amazing sons, Samuel the Hutt. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
What are you talking about this week?
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely need therapy if they keep killing off Iron Man each week.
So you're talking about What If?
Yeah,
right?
What If?
Yeah.
It's definitely very sad.
Yeah, BB Nate, what about you? What are you talking about?
This week I'm going to talk about the Avenger that is still alive.
Yeah,
my favorite Avenger, actually, which I'm excited that
Not
he's finally
Spider-Man?
getting recognized.
Yeah.
Dad, what are you talking about?
Well, they're finally remaking Knights of the Old Republic. I think we mentioned that at the end of the show last week. So we're going to take a look back on the original game and try to figure out why it's so wildly popular. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But we are very excited about this episode, and we have got a lot to discuss. But before we jump in, we've got a really amazing announcement to make about something really cool happening next week.
Yeah, Dad, we cannot talk about that yet.
We've been specifically told we can't discuss that until next Tuesday.
Well, I mean, there's parts of it that we can't discuss until next Tuesday, but we can't we give it just a little bit of a tease?
I mean, maybe a little, but you got to be careful.
Yeah, you don't want to blow our chance with this.
Okay. All right. Let me think about this. So stick around to the end of the episode for a tease about something really cool that's coming to the show next.
Don't mess this up, Dad.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Nate.
There you go.
That's awesome. All right. Samuel the Hutt, why don't we jump into this week's What If segment?
Yeah. This week's episode was a very clever mashing and retelling of two different stories at once. We got to see what would happen if Tommy. If Tony had never become Iron Man.
Maybe they won't kill him if they call him that.
That's true.
All right.
We need to change his name to Tony Stark. And what would hapen if T'Challa wasn't there to protect Wakanda from Killmonger's manipulative plan?
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
Your coming to us is as the footsteps of doom.
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
We'll get an episode where Iron Man doesn't die.
I sure hope so, for your sake.
Because I was at Target the other day, and you know how like Lego has like figures and stuff from different movies and stuff usually before it comes out.
Okay.
Well, there's one where it looks like Iron Man was on Baraka or whatever, where
I'm trying. What's
sorry,
Baraka?
where Thor lands in Ragnarok when he fights Hulk.
Okay.
Iron Man lands there and makes like a giant Hulkbuster suit out of like scrap parts and stuff. So hopefully he might end up dying.
That might
in
be
one,
an episode moved to the second season, but yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
So that encouraged me.
All right. You ready? Let's do this.
All right. First off, I need your rating of this week's episode on a scale of 1 to 10 Gundam robots.
Gundam. Oh, wow. I'll have you go first, BB Nate.
I thought it was a 7 or so. It was fun. I liked the story. I felt like there was a lot they had to put in this episode, and they accomplished it. I just don't think that they can get an episode that will be better for me than the Doctor Strange one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go with the 7 as well. This episode was a lot less trippy than some of the other episodes that we've had, the zombie episode, the Doctor Strange episode, that type of thing. And I thought it was a really interesting story. But it's not one of those that I'm sitting there thinking I've got to go back and watch it.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a 6.5 just because they killed Tony again.
6.5.
All right, but let's speculate a little bit just for fun to get into this. Why was Killmonger in the desert in the first place? Like in this specific spot in the episode, he said that he was undercover in the 10 Rings. But do you guys think there could be more to what he's saying there?
No, I think that part might be true.
You think he was actually in the terrorist organization?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was undercover. So, yeah, I don't have a feeling that there's any lying involved with that. I think he was actually undercover in the 10 Rings.
What about you, Deb?
I like I think that's cool. I think that makes sense. I don't think he was trying to pretend to be in the 10 Rings when he wasn't. What I think is cool is they are just all in on the 10 Rings right now. They're talking about the 10 Rings every possible chance that they can. They're not holding back. So they
don't have to anymore, which is a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So the story was really interesting. I think that makes sense as to why he was there.
Okay. So during that press conference after Tony is returned safely and without an arc reactor in his chest, he flips the script and says that because of what he saw, he believes they need to produce more weapons instead of shutting down the weapons manufacturing. What do you guys think made this Tony make that decision?
Because he was saved through strength at this point. There's a big moment in the original Iron Man story where, yes, he's building the original prototype suit with scraps and he's got the arc reactor in his chest that's keeping him alive and all of those things. And it's at that point where it could be weapons are his savior.
Right.
But then I don't remember the character's name, but I
don't remember either, but the
other scientist that's in there with him, that's helping him, sacrifices himself in order for Tony to live. And all of that combined with the reality that it was Stark weaponry that he goes out and he's being attacked by, that was originally in this, that's all part of the mix that makes what happens in the original Iron Man happen, where he comes back and he wants to shut down the weapons program and all of this. That character is really critical to this. He doesn't have that moment. You have Killmonger come in here with weaponry and strength and take it on.
And a name called Killmonger.
Exactly. And he takes it on, and it's just reinforcing that weaponry and strength is that line. I can't remember what it was about having a bigger stick.
Yeah, that's what his dad said.
Exactly. And he says it again in this one. That's what he learns in the desert versus what he learned in the original movie.
Yeah. I mean, exactly what you said. You didn't give me much room to change.
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes sense because he's learned that he hasn't learned that there's other ways to go about things in this episode. So not long after Killmonger saves Tony, he's promoted to the head of security instead of Happy. And after Killmonger reveals Stane's nefarious plot, Tony gives him the position of COO as well, now stealing Pepper's future job. Do you guys think this is all part of Killmonger's plan, or did Tony just really take a shine to him?
I think Killmonger was hoping that would happen, but I think it was definitely a surprise that it happened so soon. I'm sure he thought it was going to take a lot longer. Yeah, because
it was like within a matter of like
minutes.
Days. Yeah,
I don't think that he was trying to become this head of security and the COO of Stark Industries. I think that Killmonger's, what's his real name? Do you remember? Eric Stevens. Eric Stevens. I think that his primary goal, his North Star throughout this entire episode is the same as it is in Black Panther, in Black Panther. He wants to get back to Wakanda and take over.
Okay.
And so he is singularly focused on doing whatever he can to make that happen. And he'll lie and cheat and steal and deceive and do whatever he has to do in order to position himself with that opportunity. And so if that means moving up within Stark Industries in order to accomplish his plan, that's what he's going to do. He's really brilliant. You got to remember, he's an MIT.
Yeah, MIT
grad in this and in both. And there's something really dangerous about a genius with a grudge. And that's exactly what we see in this.
Yeah. So you don't think he saved Tony with this plan in mind? You think he kind of formulated it as he was going?
I do. I think he sees an opportunity for Tony in the desert when he finds out that the 10 rings are going to attack Tony. Tony is the head of Stark Industries, and he's like, all right, let's leverage this moment to get closer to my plan. And that's what he's doing throughout the entire episode.
And then why do you guys think Tony was so trusting of Eric so quickly? Like, it took no time for him to give Eric these high level.
I mean, you got to think he trusted Obadiah Stane so easily, and he betrayed him. Stane.
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 Yeah,
but BB Nate, he grew up with Obadiah Stane.
Right.
I get that, but I just think that he hasn't had anybody that he hasn't had to not trust, if that makes sense.
It's hard not to trust somebody that saves your life.
That's also true. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. So when Killmonger is chatting with Tony in the garage, right? He mentions that his dad was killed by gang violence, right? And this is Eric's first big lie of this episode, which we'll talk about in a minute. Because in Black Panther, he says his dad was killed by panther claws, right? It's this big emotional moment. So he ends up lying in this about it to Tony. So then we learn that Eric Stevens was a brilliant MIT graduate and a highly decorated war hero. And by most standards, he would be considered a pretty good person. But we see throughout this episode that he has no problems lying to get what he wants. Lying to cover up even the death of Tony's best friend, that he killed him. What do you think made Eric turn so evil, Dad? He could have amounted to be so much good if he were turned in the right direction.
It's the same reason in the first movie. It's this obsession, this with revenge, this idea that he's been wronged, which he's a sympathetic character as a child.
Yeah,
with what happens in the beginning of the Black Panther movie and his character and everything. He's living in a tough situation. So he's got a worldview that is one of revenge. It's one of, that deals with, some racial, oppression. And he feels like the only solution to these issues is strength and power versus what happens, with Black Panther, and it's a very different approach towards it, and ends up getting them in a tough situation.
What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a lot of. I think that it's the same reason we see in Black Panther. He's a bad guy. His father was killed, and he has a one goal in his life is to get vengeance on Wakanda. That's all it is to him, and so I think that's his reasoning in this, and that's what turned him evil. Because I mean, gotta go back to the Batman saying "justice, not vengeance," and
good point. So later on, after more lying and manipulation, Eric comes to Wakanda with a dead Claw, claiming to be an ally, but really coming as an enemy. After Eric warns them of the coming attack, and he reactivates the drone so he can look like a hero. He's then awarded the mantle of Black Panther and given the herb, right?
Nice.
In the afterlife scene, or whatever that weird plane is, I don't know where that is, he meets the spirit of the murdered T'Challa, and Killmonger tries to justify his actions, but T'Challa says that his unearned power will catch up with him eventually. What do you think Eric's end goal here is? That you kind of mentioned it a little bit. Is he going to try and kill the king? Does he want to rule Wakanda? Is there something else? Is his plan maybe changed because of what's happened in this episode, or do you think he's still on the same path?
I think that he accomplished his plan in this. I think that he wanted to take over Wakanda. He is the Black Panther now. He's taken over Wakanda.
He's not the king, though.
I do wonder if we see that in the future, but I didn't ever sense. That's one of the weird things about this version of the story is I never really sensed this hatred for the king.
Yeah.
In this, which is the king is the one that kills
his dad.
Yeah. And so I kept expecting for that moment to happen. I almost thought it was going to happen during the big battle. I thought that it was sort of, he would kill him and then make it look like
a robot. Yeah. That's what I was expecting.
Something else happened. And that never occurred. So it was definitely an unexpected element.
Yes, definitely.
What do you think, Nate?
I think that I think he has accomplished mainly what his goal is going to be. I'm not sure if he wants to kill the king. That's never really been discussed, and he had no reason to think that in Black Panther because the king was already dead. And his goal was to become Black Panther, which was that point was T'Challa, and he was king. Mm-hmm. So we don't really know if he's wanting to kill the king or not. That was never really described. So I'm sure he's gotten what he wants, but who knows?
Okay. So then Pepper learns that Ross, he plans to start an all-out war with Wakanda, and then she finds Shuri waiting for her in her office with footage proving that Eric was behind it all. So then they form an alliance to figure out a way to stop this. Where do you guys think this could go from here? I'll provide my theory in a minute. Nate, what do you think?
I think that we're just going to get another episode of this, and it'll either tie up the story in a nice little bow, or we're going to have a bloodbath, and we're not going to have a good ending. I'm not sure which one it's going to be, but with the track record of What If, it's probably going to be just not a good ending. And I think that this is going to tie very much into the last episode in the season, the Guardians of the Multiverse thing. So I'm sure we'll see a lot.
Okay.
I do think it's heading in that direction. I think that there's a definite division of characters in this. You've got a handful of characters that, Captain Carter, Good Strange, Nick Fury, Clint at the end of that first episode.
T'Challa, Star-Lord.
T'Challa, Star-Lord, right? You've got all of these good
Doctor Strange.
Well, no, you've got all the good characters, and then you've got dark characters. You've got Ego. You've got Peter Quill that's being, that is with Ego now. You've got Loki. You've got Killmonger now as Black Panther. You've got zombie Thanos. You've got good Thanos on the good side.
Yeah.
So you got these, there's this division. It's almost like they're getting ready to just have this big, massive
Avengers Endgame level battle, but in the multiverse.
At the end of this, and it's going to be kind of one of the weirdest things you'll ever see.
Interesting. So. I have a theory. It's a little smaller than what you guys came up with, but I've always kind of had the mindset that Shuri was going to eventually become the character Ironheart, because she's even mentioned in this episode she's a genius as well, right? Do you think that could be what's happening here? She could end up becoming Ironheart or something with Pepper.
It's possible.
Stop her cousin. Would that? Is Eric her cousin?
Cousin.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. I think it would be a really cool way to bring that character into the MCU and potentially set up something for the future in Black Panther 2 or whatever.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I wish my man Tony could catch a break from dying for 1 week, but it's still interesting nonetheless to see what the story could be without him. It was even cool when they showed that whole montage at the beginning with all the three big moments from his lifetime. But we saw how, because Tony wasn't Iron Man, one man could, through a lot of lying and deceit, pit two countries against each other in war and cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it was a fun episode.
It was.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. The clickbait headlines, they just keep on coming. And this week, we're going to have our first appearance of the Darth Sidious of Star Wars clickbait videos.
Oh, no.
Along with a lesson in why we can't believe everything that you read on Twitter.
Shoot Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and...
You got one?
What is it?
Minecraft.
Okay.
Fans.
Cool.
They do have Minecraft.
They do.
Stuff.
Oh, good. We've got a very exciting announcement for you.
That's right. Yeah, we are now partnering with Design by Humans. Design by Humans is an amazing collection of artists and creatives who want to offer the best of the best in apparel and accessories for all the geeks and the nerds out there, like you guys.
Yeah, they're awesome. They offer some of the coolest officially licensed Star Wars, Marvel, and DC shirts, mugs, hats, and more. It's really cool.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, if you see an awesome Star Wars or DC or Marvel shirt and wonder where you can get it, you can probably get it at Design by Humans.
And because I know you're wondering, yes, they do have Morris shirts. You did that like chicken thing we were talking about. The thing you didn't know what it was when you added it to
They
our
do.
store.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
have that.
I saw it. Yeah, it's awesome.
But they've also got more Shang-Chi stuff. They've got What If, The Mandalorian, Batman, and tons of other cool stuff.
But the best part is when you purchase using the link at TatooineSons.com, 100% of our proceeds from your purchase are used to provide food, medicine, education, and more to a child who desperately needs it.
Yeah. So again, if you are looking for any officially licensed shirts or items from all of your favorite fandoms, please check out all of the items that are available at the link on TatooineSons.com.
Well, you want the bad news or the really bad news?
All right, headline number 1 this The Mandalorian, Gina Carano reportedly set for shocking Star Wars return. The headline comes from epicstream.com, which is kind of known for its clickbaitiness. But the real culprit here isn't just Epicstream. Did I say it
yes,
right?
Epicstream.
It's the source that they quote. Here's a paragraph that tells you all that you need to know. And I quote, we still don't know how things are between Gina and Disney, but in a jaw-dropping turn of events, Lucasfilm is reportedly bringing Carano back in the Mandoverse, according to a new rumor from YouTuber and Star Wars scooper Mike Zero.
Oh, so it's totally credible.
No. Jon Favreau is one of the key people who have been pushing for Carano's return to The Mandalorian and allegedly convinced Disney to rehire the actress. Zero also claims that Carano will make her Cara Dune comeback in the 4th season of the hit Disney Plus series, which is currently eyeing a 2023 release date. And the official announcement of Gina's return could happen before the year's end. All right, here we go. Mike Zero is absolutely notorious for not only stretching the truth on his YouTube channel, but for actually completely making it up and then repeating it over and over and over again on multiple videos per day. It has gotten so bad that Rian Johnson, the writer and director of The Last Jedi, actually called out Zero on Twitter in 2018. Lucasfilm later asked Rian to remove the tweet. But the fact still remains that Mike Zero cannot be trusted as a source
ever.
The clickbait level on this is a 10, and that's only because our system won't allow us to go beyond that. All right, Sam.
All right. Dune director joins Marvel bashing bandwagon. Quote, nothing more than a cut and paste.
Nice.
This headline is from a very mainstream outlet, the New York Post. It quotes an interview that Denis Villeneuve gave to the Spanish publication El Mundo. In it, Villeneuve, It's a hard word. Said, the problem is that we are in front of too many Marvel movies that are nothing more than a cut and paste of others. Perhaps these types of movies have turned us into zombies a bit. That's funny.
Yeah.
This prompted dozens of articles stirring up Marvel fan outrage over these statements, but this isn't the first time that Dune director has commented on the MCU. In a recent interview with the French news site The Premier, Villeneuve said, the problem today, well, if we're talking about Marvel, the thing is all these films are made from the same mold. Some filmmakers could add a little color to it, but they're all cast in the same factory. It doesn't take anything away from the movies, but they are formatted. So what he's saying is that the MCU films are required to fit within a framework laid out by Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios. And only after that are directors permitted to expand on the story that they're being asked to tell. Clickbait level 7.
Yeah, it's not as bad. I mean, there's truth. He said these things.
They are, if you look at Marvel movies, they are all very similar to one another.
But the headline was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was.
And that's a lot of
yes.
Right
the
now.
Next headline: exclusive. Michael Keaton's solo Batman project in development.
How you feeling about that
1989?
No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it. I'd like it, but it's not happening. Here's a scoop from GiantFreakingRobot.com.
That's the name?
That is the name. Giant Freaking Robot has now exclusively learned from one of our trusted and proven inside sources that Warner Brothers is developing a solo Batman project for Michael Keaton. At this point, the solo project is in development, meaning it's in the early stages and could still be a ways off yet. Knowing that it's coming is a very big deal, though, since it's been unclear for many just how central Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne is going to be in the DC universe, extended universe moving forward. Well, it's actually a funny way of sourcing the rumor. The article links to another page on the website with a list of other rumors that the site has leaked that have been confirmed. But other than that, Batman fans are just asked to be taking their word for it.
All right.
Yeah,
so
it's clickbait level 5.
You think it could happen? It could not happen. There's no way to know. Okay.
Interesting.
Awesome. All right, BB Nate, what do you got going?
Yeah, so this week we got a trailer for the this week we got a trailer for the Best Avengers new show, Hawkeye.
Hey, you watch your tone there, Nate.
I'm just telling the truth here. So let's talk about everything we saw in it, and of course, Lucky the dog.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
There's only one God, man, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
Batman has no limits.
Spider-Man was your favorite.
He's my favorite MCU character, but my favorite Avenger is...
I thought he is an Avenger.
Kind of.
Well, okay, before he was an Avenger, Hawkeye was your guy?
Oh, Hawkeye, yeah.
He's still your guy?
And yeah, he's still my guy. I love Hawkeye. Always have. But Sam, your one-word reaction to this trailer.
Festive.
Festive, yes. I get that. Yeah.
What about you, Dad?
Yeah, unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Not that I didn't expect to get a trailer, but that just the feel and the vibe of this series went in a very different direction than I thought it was going to go.
This is true, Sam.
It feels like Iron Man 3.
It
Think
does.
about it.
A lot of people are saying
it. Christmas.
I love it. And Iron Man 3 is great.
Nate, what about you? One word reaction.
Excited.
Nice.
That was my word last week.
Okay.
Well, it's my word this week.
All right. Let's go.
So the show synopsis is former Avenger Clint Barton has a seemingly simple mission. Get back to his family for Christmas. Possible, maybe with the help of Kate Bishop, a 22-year-old archer with dreams of becoming a superhero. The two are forced to work together when a presence from Barton's past threatens to derail far more than the festive spirit.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
So when does this take place?
So it takes place a little bit before Falcon and Winter Soldier, a few months.
Okay.
And about 10 or so months before No Way Home.
Oh, wow.
So giving us
this isn't super long after the blip.
No, this is pretty recent, judging by the timeline.
So then can we back this up and figure out what month the blip took place in as a result? Because
somebody did. I just don't remember.
Yeah. So anyway. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
I think it's interesting that it's before Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Me too.
With this, because of some of the interesting ideas. I don't want to steal your thunder. So
no. I don't think I mentioned it all that much.
So like they're doing you're going to mention the musical. There's no way you're not talking about Rogers the musical, right?
I just mention it, but I don't go into detail. Okay, so we can go into detail here.
It's like a marketing campaign for Captain America.
It is
what it feels like. And so if you remember at the beginning of Falcon and Winter Soldier, when they bring in John Walker to be the thing, this is like this big campaign. So it's almost like they're trying to build up the idea of Captain America with the musical as part of a marketing campaign for it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. This show has a very strong connection to the Matt Fraction comic series that happened in the early 2010s. This series, the TV show series, seems to be following the Fraction comics very closely, which would actually be a first in the MCU. Okay. For adapting a comic series to live action.
Now they've done a lot of
they pulled from comics. Elements. They take elements, but not specific full on this series.
Well, WandaVision really did pull a lot from the West Avengers, West Coast Avengers or whatever. Oh. It pulled a lot from that storyline. But from what you're understanding, this one seems to be pulling a lot more from the Fraction comics. There's
a lot of similarities. Very.
Now you read a little bit of that, right?
I read the first issue a little bit before we got started with this podcast. Funny enough.
Oh,
so yeah, we have the trench coat gang or the tracksuit gang. They wear multiple things, bro. They say bro all the time.
Every sentence ends with bro.
In the Fraction comics, they say bro all the time. Even their front companies for money laundering and drugs and everything have bro in it. We have the tracksuit gang that is basically the main bad guys in the comic and looks like to be in this series, but that gang also works for Wilson Fisk, which could bring in the Wilson Fisk from the Netflix show Daredevil and would allow No Way Home to have Matt Murdock. Now, the funny thing is, episode 4 and 5 of Hawkeye are going to be coming out right before and right after No Way Home releases. So people are wondering if we're going to be getting some hints to it.
Interesting.
Okay, so because of the timeline, I'm trying to process all of that you just said, VB Nate. Because of the timeline, though, we cannot be getting Spider-Man in this series.
I'm not saying Spider-Man.
No, I know that. No, I'm just processing. But we could get an introduction of Wilson Fisk and potentially Charlie Cox's Daredevil, Matt Murdock, in this, which would then be not a spoiler if No Way Home happens before that. There we go.
Yes. Okay. There you go. But actually, personally, I want the movie version of Fisk.
The one from
Daredevil.
No.
That's a joke, right?
That was a joke. Yes.
Okay. No.
Yes, Cobra Bubbles. I don't want Cobra Bubbles as Kingpin in the MCU. Hawkeye is also wearing hearing aids in this trailer, which is also a lot like the Matt Fraction comics. He wears hearing aids in that. His hearing deteriorates over time. That's a big thing in the comics. So that's pretty big.
That would be kind of a cool storyline to bring into the MCU. This idea of because he's not a superhero. He's not super powerful.
It's like Black Widow.
Right. That idea of him sort of the aging and the process that goes along with that and being deaf and all of that. It would be an interesting storyline to really pursue.
Green Arrow in the Batman Dark Knight, was it Returns? Didn't he not have arms or something?
Yes.
And he was still an archer.
Oh, yes.
So it could be interesting to see if they have their own
Green Arrow
concept.
It's a little bit easier to be an archer without
I know. I'm just saying this, it's like the disability thing.
Now I'm going to, before I get into my theories, where do you guys think Linda is? Clint Barton's wife.
Wasn't she blipped?
No, this is after the blip.
After the blip.
She's not sitting at the dinner table.
She's not in the trailer
with the kids. She's not in the trailer at all.
I don't know. Maybe coming back after missing 5 years and not knowing it. Maybe it just took a toll on her or something. Maybe she wasn't a fan of Clint being an Avenger in the first place, and this was just the straw that broke the camel's back for her.
True. Yes, Dad.
Yeah. There's the simplest theory is that the kids were sent to New York to visit Dad while Dad was doing some work with Nick Fury. Yes. And that's when all of this starts.
That makes sense.
But the more dark theory is that Linda finds out about that Hawkeye, that Clint confessed what his life was like
during
the blip and the Ronin stuff, and she's struggling with the fact that he's
a good point.
become a horrible murderer at that point.
But let's go with a little bit lighter version.
It's the most wonderful. Sorry.
I mean, what we do see later in the trailer, he gets a call from her, at least we assume, and says, "Hey, babe, I should be back in a day or two." So unless he's with somebody new, which I don't think that that's possible, they're still on good terms, I feel. So I think we're okay on that.
All right.
Now, Kate Bishop in Ronin. Now, this is a big deal about a lot of things. Now, if we answer the question, who is Kate Bishop? Kate was actually introduced in the Young Avengers run before getting fleshed out in the Fraction Hawkeye run, getting an actual storyline. She was just in the first comics. She is the daughter of a very wealthy family, and we've actually seen her mom in this trailer all dressed up nice
like
for
she's
an unknown
rich
reason.
or going
She is
there's the party sequence too, where
there is, yes.
So I think that's
we don't
connected.
quite know the confirmed. We see an auction in this trailer, and we also see that party sequence, which may be linked by themselves. How this goes back to the Fraction comics is there is an auction for a tape that will taint Clint's whole resume, and like he'll be reputation in everybody's eyes.
Interesting.
That was being auctioned off. So I'm wondering if they're going to take that and kind of, twist it a little bit as Ronin and then leak it to the public depending on the highest price. So
interesting.
That might be it. And the mom is involved in that because of a character, I forget the name, but they wear a mask and they actually sell that in the comic, and it's rumored to be Kate Bishop's mom in this series, and that's why Kate Bishop is wanting to be a good guy and vigilante and all this stuff.
Wow.
Why is she pretending to be Ronin? It's maybe because her mom bought the Ronin suit from that fancy auction, underground auction that we see. Because again, this person is selling stuff, high price stuff, and so that might be included in it. Now, Hawkeye's past, it looks like it'll play a lot into this series.
Right.
I mean, we see how Clint is just dealing with everything after the blip. I mean, in handling the death of Natasha and the return of his family and the guilt of what he became as Ronin, he has a lot on his plate. So I think that he's going to be very distraught in this series. I think he's going to be
another therapy episode. another therapy
series. But this one looks a little bit more lighthearted than the other ones.
It does, guys. That's the thing that I took from this trailer that was probably the most interesting. Why I gave it the answer, the shocked one word response. When I thought of Clint, and it was rumored that this was going to talk about the Ronin period a lot. It was going to deal with this Ronin stuff. There was a part of me that thought they were going to just go down the path of him being Ronin and showing a lot of him being Ronin. And when this trailer came out, and it's was it Perry Como or somebody, Bing Crosby or somebody?
Andy Williams, I think.
Oh, Andy Williams, the guy that looks just like my
dad. Yeah.
Andy Williams singing The Most Wonderful Time of the Year and Christmas scenes and musicals and
funny jokes
in a buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
With it, I was really surprised by that, and I'm really looking forward to. Absolutely, I'm looking forward to this during the Christmas season.
I'm looking forward to it so much. It looks like in this show that Clint is wanting to right some wrongs of his Ronin times. I think he's trying to clear his name more than anything. But I think that Clint is back with S.H.I.E.L.D. This is a little theory I have, because somebody is kind of chauffeuring his kids.
Is it Happy?
No, it's two random highly dressed guards. They put him in a big SUV, and the kids are in the back. It looks like S.H.I.E.L.D. agents.
Nope.
Which could explain why Clint is in New York.
Exactly.
Because, S.H.I.E.L.D. is Avengers, S.H.I.E.L.D., all that stuff seems to be based kind of in the New York area throughout the MCU. And so Nick may be having him there for some different things or some follow. I mean, we don't really know how long.
Is Nick in S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore?
That's true. He's not.
He's in space. He's
in
on the moon.
space.
Oh, yeah. So who's running S.H.I.E.L.D. at this point?
Nick Fury. Skrull Nick Fury.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
So Skrull Nick
So
Fury's
anyway, I think that he could have been there doing some business work, and the kids came up to visit him, and that's what's going on in
Makes
the story.
sense.
It makes
Okay.
a lot more sense.
Yeah, I agree. What are y'all's favorite moments from this trailer? Or things that you saw in this trailer that make you look forward to the show even more?
Only watched it once.
Shame on you.
I mean, I guess I would just say it's like the interplay between Clint and Kate. It's funny how Clint really likes taking like these young, developing superhero women and turning them into like heroes. He did it with Wanda.
He did it with Natasha.
And now he's doing it with Kate. He's like this mentor to young women, and it's kind of cool.
It is kind of
But
cool.
it seems like they'll have a fun dynamic throughout the episode. Or through this series.
My favorite moment is Rogers the Musical.
I thought
there's
I
no
thought
way.
you would say that.
It's just so bizarre. I
But
know
you could see it happening in the MCU.
I could.
though.
Well, I mean, who would have thought we'd see Spider-Man the musical? That's
point.
a real thing.
It is. It was infamous for having so many injuries
And being not, I mean,
and
some
not being
people
good.
loved it.
There was
but-
a whole song about shoes in that musical.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really weird.
Well, maybe this will revive it. I'll get it back on.
Yeah, we'll get Rogers in real life.
We'll get Rogers. Yeah, my favorite moment was definitely Lucky the dog.
So I guess I understand that in the 80s there was a big push or rumor or something to actually make a Captain America.
It was a Captain America musical that was being advertised in Marvel Comics, released every month. It was like casting
Bizarre.
calls and all this stuff. It never saw the light of day though. So that was really strange. But this show looks so good, and my favorite Avenger is finally getting a solo project, let alone a show. I might even pick up the Fraction comic to kind of understand better what's going on.
Interesting.
That'd be awesome. Maybe Nate, you did such a good job on that segment. We're going to do it all over again, but this time we're going to talk about some movie news. What's happening?
Really?
What's happening in movies?
Well, there are 2 movies coming out this week. Shang-Chi is projected to win the box office again, and there were a couple good trailers out.
Awesome. We'll talk about that next. All right, BB Nate, it is, once again, the part of the show where we talk about ratings and reviews.
Yes, it is. We have a couple awesome reviews this week. It's pretty exciting.
It is. But before you do that, explain to our awesome, amazing listeners why ratings and reviews are so important.
Again, we've talked about a couple reasons, but the biggest is it tells people the show is worth listening to. Ratings and reviews are like podcasts worth of word of mouth on Velocity Serum.
Oh, nice. You're throwing in a Flash reference there.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I do know that ratings and reviews are really important when people decide to listen to a podcast.
Yeah, they really are. BB Nate, go ahead and read that first one.
Okay, it's from Dominic Esposito. Dominic wrote, greatest and most family-friendly pop culture podcast out there today. Funny, witty, informative, and just downright fun. Every father should share the same relationship David has with his boys, and we would all be lucky to have Sam and Nate as sons.
That's true.
My boys would be jealous to know Nate named a porg. The one-child donation is on me, gentlemen. Peace and hope for all.
Wow, that's awesome. That's pretty awesome. Thank you so much, Dominic. That means a whole lot to us. And we're definitely excited to make a donation to One Child in Your honor to help a child living in extreme poverty. Sam, what about that other review?
Yeah, this one is from Xander, and it says, such a good podcast. As someone who grew up talking with his dad and brother about the Pirates and Narnia movies we saw in theaters, I love hearing another father and his sons talk about all things nerd. Thank you, Xander.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Xander.
Yes.
We really do appreciate that. If you want to be amazing like Dominic and Xander, please go to podchaser.com/Tatooine Sons. Give us a review.
Mm-hmm. And remember, you can rate and review more than just the show. You can also review individual episodes. So if you've already given us a review before on Podchaser, you can do it again on this very episode.
And as we mentioned, if you give us a review, we'll make a donation in your honor to One Child to help provide food, medicine, education, and more to a child who really needs it.
Absolutely. So please head on over to podchaser.com/Tatooine Sons and review the show.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Yeah, so there's a couple new movies coming out this week. The first one is Cop Shop. It's rated R for strong, bloody violence and pervasive language.
What does that even mean?
No clue.
So basically, it's like Nobody.
Yeah, it is just Nobody. I watched this trailer. It looks fun, but it's just Nobody.
Yeah.
It stars Frank Grillo, who you might know as Crossbones from the MCU.
That's right.
Gerard Butler, who you might know from the Has Fallen series. You know, Olympus Has Fallen, London Has Fallen.
How to Train Your Dragon.
I thought he was Phantom of the Opera.
I thought he was stoic.
He was also that. He was also stoic. He's played in a lot of stuff. And Toby Huss, I don't know Toby Huss. Okay. The synopsis is: on the run from a lethal assassin, a wily con artist devises a scheme to hide out inside a small town police station. But when the hitman turns up at the precinct, an unsuspecting rookie cop finds herself in their crosshairs.
Okay.
Yeah, the trailer looked interesting, but this movie actually stands at an 82% critic score.
That's actually pretty good.
Tomatoes, yes, and a 53% audience score.
That's not so good.
It's kind of whatever you want to make of it. Yeah, it is really weird. The next movie is Cry Macho. It's rated PG-13 for language and thematic elements. It stars Clint Eastwood and also directed by Clint Eastwood. Dwight Yoakam. Sorry.
It's Yoakam. It's Yoakam.
Okay.
You know, he was a country singer.
He was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Daniel V. Growler.
Growlow. I'm going to say Growlow.
Growlow.
The best part of this show is when you guys try to read people's last names. Okay.
Yes. The synopsis is: a one-time rodeo star and washed-up horse breeder takes a job to bring a young man's son home and away from his alcoholic mom. On their journey, the horseman finds redemption through teaching the boy what it means to be a good man.
Okay.
Nice. This movie stands at a 50% critic score and no audience score yet.
All right.
Yikes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we're not going to go see either of those? Are we we're just going to go see Shang-Chi tonight?
Yeah.
I like that.
Shang-Chi, sorry.
Shang-Chi.
Awesome.
But speaking of Shang-Chi, it's actually again predicted to win this weekend's box office for the third week in a row.
It's because we're going to see it again.
And it's not like they have much
single-handedly helping them. That's true. There's not much to compete with now.
It actually currently stands at around 264 million worldwide, which is pretty good. We also got a couple new trailers this week. We got a trailer for Dear Evan Hansen, which I watched. Looks really good. I think it'll be a good movie.
It does look really good.
And West Side Story, which I also watched. That looks really good too. Both good trailers this week.
Both musicals. Sam, how are you going to be able to handle both musicals? Because we're going to see both of them.
I have homework. Sorry.
I'm going to both of them. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll probably go to them too. Yeah. They both looked very good. Yeah. But yeah, that's about it for me.
Yeah.
What about you?
Let's talk some Star Wars. Last week, Lucasfilm Games, Sony Interactive Entertainment, and Aspyr announced that the long-awaited remake of Knights of the Old Republic is finally in production, and fans went nuts in kind of a classic Star Wars fashion. Some of them were really excited and some went really dark side with it. But anyway, this week we're going to look at what makes KOTOR such a popular Star Wars game. And here's a hint. It is a perfect Star Wars story.
Wokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
We own both.
Knights of the Republic and 2?
Yeah.
And I've played a little bit about. Well, that's all it's available. Like, I guess it's available on some.
They ported it to newer consoles. Okay. Yeah,
but we never finished it.
Yeah, we never finished it. It's not our type of game. It's not our gameplay style.
Yeah, I just can't.
Yeah, it's too much and takes way too long to actually play through the main story. It's a lot of side missions and then one main story mission, and then hours of side missions, and then one main story. It's just a lot.
Yeah. Well, here's the synopsis of the game. If you aren't familiar with KOTOR, which is Knights of the Old Republic shortened into a
not a sentence.
Acronym, I think, is the right
Not
word.
a sentence.
Not a sentence. It's 4,000 years before the Galactic Empire, and hundreds of Jedi Knights have fallen in battle against the ruthless Sith. And you are the last hope of the Jedi Order. Can you master the awesome power of the Force on your quest to save the Republic, or will you fall to the lure of the dark side? Hero or villain, savior or conqueror, you alone will determine the destiny of the entire galaxy. Samuel the Hutt, think about that for a second. Does that not sound like a Star Wars story in its purest form?
Yep, that is about as cut and dry as you can get, and that sounds perfect.
Just a normal Star Wars story.
Either be a good guy or bad guy. The fate of the galaxy is up to you.
Yep, go.
Yeah, let's talk about this game and why it's such a big deal. Now, it was originally, I think we kind of mentioned that as we were coming into the segment, it was released on Xbox originally in 2003. But for a lot of people, Knights of the Old Republic was their way of kind of playing Star Wars. I grew up in the old, original trilogy time where playing Star Wars meant you had action figures and broomsticks as lightsabers. I mean, the Atari version of this game of Star Wars was not that great with it. So, Sam, when you look back, how do you remember playing Star Wars?
I mean, it was a combination of two things. One was playing a lot of Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga. I put hours into that game, but also just going in the backyard and playing, make-believe Star Wars with the lightsabers, or in the basement with my robe on and stuff.
Yeah, and our neighbor Luke and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so we used to do that all the time.
What about you, Nate? When you think about playing Star Wars, what do you think about?
I don't think about it because I really didn't like Star Wars until I was 10 years old or a little bit after that. I started to enjoy it after Force Awakens was announced. But before then, I thought it was boring. I thought it was slow. I thought it was for old people. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. And so I was more of a Marvel dude. I mean, Spider-Man was my guy. So I would just play Spider-Man. But I remember really enjoying playing Force Unleashed. Force Unleashed was
we did play that one a lot.
So it's interesting. You guys both mentioned video games as a way that you thought about Star Wars.
I want to retcon mine. I played Force Unleashed a lot too. Yeah,
that's true. And that's, what a lot of people with KOTOR did. You'd have this whole generation that was sort of coming out of the prequels and excited about Star Wars from that. And the way that they played Star Wars was not necessarily the action figures and toys in the backyard, but it was playing this game. It was how you got to become a character in this game, and they developed their understanding of this. There's something about Knights of the Old Republic that is really unique in Star Wars, and it's why I think they can't make the storyline canon. The most powerful element of this game is that you have the ability to choose your own path. You can make the right choices and become a Jedi, or you can make the wrong choices and become a Sith. Nate, this is similar kind of to what happens in one of the Force Unleashed games, isn't it?
Yeah, the first one. You can either decide to be Darkseid and become Emperor Palpatine's apprentice, or Darth Vader's buddy.
Yeah, it's similar, but in Force Unleashed, it's really just at the end. You can make one decision that changes it. In KOTOR, it's a much bigger mechanic in the game that goes throughout, beginning to end. Every choice you make makes a difference. In Force Unleashed, it's much more of a...
It's just 1 minute type thing, or one little thing on that. Sam, because this is so important, you said it's like a major mechanic in the game and everything. Is the idea of the storyline ever becoming canon, is that something that could ever happen, do you think?
I don't think so. It would be very difficult for them to make it work. Maybe if, say, this is something, in this case, it's 4,000 years before,
right?
Star Wars as we know it. It could be that there are two paths you can take, right? Each with its own story ending, right? And it could be that, over the 4,000 years, these two paths have merged into legend. And some people think that the history happened one way, while some people think history happened another.
That's actually a really interesting
idea. And then it could be canon either way, because it's so long ago, it doesn't really matter. It's just a story, a legend at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be the only way they can do that.
I had never thought about it like that. That would be kind of cool with that. One of the pivotal moments in Knights of the Old Republic is, again, when your character learns that he was once the evil Sith Lord Darth Revan.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 20-year-old game. If you're listening to a Star Wars pop culture podcast, I'm sorry if you got spoiled there. For players of this game, this reveal is actually considered one of the greatest twists in gaming history. It's on par in the gaming world with the I am your father moment in The Empire Strikes Back. Sam, why do you think that twists like this are so important in Star Wars storytelling?
Because it subverts your expectations. I mean, Star Wars, while it's set in an unfamiliar world, the story and the characters are very familiar to us and almost predictable in a way, but, not entirely. Having twists like this really, forces you back into the story and changes everything, and it allows it to be a catalyst for new storytelling, right? Because usually these twists happen at the end of a second act or at the end of a movie or game. I don't know exactly when it happens in KOTOR, but it allows you to get people hooked and you have to see where the story goes from here because everything you thought you knew flips on its head at this point.
It reminds me of my experience at The Last Jedi, and we don't apologize for this on this show. We are super fans of The Last Jedi. Yep. We were super fans of The Last Jedi long before Turbis became the name of the Porg.
We saw it 10 times before that moment.
Exactly.
Like,
we were invited to that screening because of our love for this movie.
Yes.
But watching it the very first time, it felt like you're going all the way to the very midpoint of the movie with a very clear storyline being laid out, especially as it relates to Rey and Kylo Ren. And it seems like it seems like you're going to see Kylo Ren seduce Rey to the dark side, and that's going to happen. And this Reylo thing is going to kick in full tilt there. And then in that moment, it twisted and went completely the other direction. And for me, that's a big twist. And BB Nate, what's your favorite twist? in Star Wars?
Probably the fact that the Grand Inquisitor from Star Wars Rebels was a Jedi Temple Guard.
Oh, yeah.
Hadn't even thought about that one.
That has always been my favorite twist, and that's actually what gave me my love of Jedi Temple Guards. I always thought they're all interesting. But learning that this person who was so evil was a protector of the Jedi Temple was just always amazing to me. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Another major storyline that makes Knights of the Old Republic feel so Star Warsy is the fall and the redemption of Bastila Shan. That's Revan's girlfriend. In this one, I mean, kind of with it. Bastila basically gives her life to save Revan's and then is captured and turned to the dark side.
I didn't know that.
And then Revan's love for her brings her back from this and restores her to the light. So this is a big redemption story on both sides because your character was Darth Revan and now you can make him a good guy. And Bastila Shan falls to the dark side and then is redeemed again. Nathan, why do you think Star Wars fans love redemption stories so much?
Well, that's what Star Wars is. It's always been a redemption story. I mean, redemption for Darth Vader. Redemption for Kylo Ren. It's a big deal. I think it's just because we always like rooting for the underdog, and seeing people redeemed is kind of what the underdog is. And so I feel like it makes for great stories and great storytelling. So I think that's why.
I mean, even The Mandalorian is that story. You've got some, kind of seedy bounty hunter who's just in it to make a buck, and he ends up, caring for this child and becomes a ruler of Mandalore unwittingly. But yeah, it's a redemption story.
I remember when the final couple trailers, not the TV spots that were coming out like every 30 seconds before The Last Jedi. I felt like literally every time you turned on the TV, a new TV trailer would come out, or teaser. But the actual trailers, when they came out, it seemed to me that this story was going to play itself out. You were going to see this moment where Kylo Ren seduced Rey to the dark side, kind of in this Bastila Shan type thing. Right. And then I anticipated at the rest of The Last Jedi and then the next movie, you were going to see those two then come to the light in a very KOTOR style story. Sam, do you think it was watching those trailers and what I described to you? Do you think it was a surprise that a lot of KOTOR fans kind of thought that's what was going to happen in that story?
No, I don't think so at all, just because it's something they've seen before. I think those trailers did a really good job of misdirecting us. I mean, we were talking about that when we were watching the trailers. I still remember being in California sitting in the hot tub talking about the trailer that just recently dropped. We were convinced that it's going to happen one way, but we knew that there had to be some sort of misdirection. So, I don't think there's any surprise there.
Which is why every one of those TV commercials that would come on would have Luke Skywalker at some point saying, this is not going to go the way you think.
Right. Every single one of them.
They were warning us to subvert our expectations that they were going to do that on that. Well, for the dad moment this week,
I am your father.
Most of us are suckers for a good redemption story. We love the idea that Tony Stark went from a complete jerk, wanting to make as much money as possible from making weapons, to the savior of the MCU galaxy. And then in the Hawkeye series, it looks like Hawkeye's past has finally caught up with him, but we're all going to be rooting for him to be worthy of the second chance that Natasha's sacrifice gave him. And then the entire storyline of the original Knights of the Old Republic and really all Star Wars centers on the possibility that someone who becomes the epitome of evil can turn back to the light. So why is this so important to us? It's because the idea of redemption is written on our souls. It's like we talk about at the opening of this show every week. As Christians, we believe that humanity has all rebelled against a perfect and loving creator, that we deserve punishment for that rebellion. But we also long for redemption. And it's why we love these stories so much. And in a lot of ways, it's what sets the Christian faith apart. All right. Anything else that you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
Yeah, so the Andy Serkis readings of the Lord of the Rings audiobooks dropped on the 16th. So you're able to check those out.
How many hours is that? A single book?
Per book, it's about 22 hours.
Jeez. Should I do my Gollum?
No.
Yes, do it.
Fat habits.
Yeah,
it is not bad.
It could be better. Andy Serkis does it
I
better.
haven't practiced.
It's okay. It has been a while. Okay, it has been a while. The Batman spin-off series about Penguin is in early development at HBO Max. Now we have two. Gotham PD and Penguin.
And others rumored.
Apparently 3 more are going to be happening.
Lord.
So
that's pretty awesome. Well, I'm excited about this next one. Congratulations to our friend Dominic Pace, the actor who played a really cool bounty hunter in episodes 1 and 3 of season 1 of The Mandalorian, has been campaigning to see his character, who he has named Gecko, officially recognized in the Star Wars canon. And Dominic took to Facebook Wednesday evening to announce that Gecko will be included in its first officially licensed Lucasfilm merchandise very soon, officially making Gecko a canon Star Wars bounty hunter, following in the footsteps of Boba Fett, IG-11, Bosk, Dengar, Dinjar, and all of the others. Cad Bane.
So awesome.
All of this. So congratulations, Dominic.
Really
we are
cool.
super excited about it. All right. We've got a big announcement too. You guys ready? Can I do this?
We named another character.
No, that's not it. That would be cool. But that's not it. We have got not 1, but 2 special episodes coming next week. Now, the first one is going to drop at noon Eastern time on Tuesday. And then the second will be at 4 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday morning. All right, guys.
Yeah, we're getting up early to record that one.
Yeah, we're going to have that. Have I said too much about this yet?
No,
I think we're all right.
We're good. Yeah, I think we should give the listeners who, made it through everything we did, just a little bit more.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right.
So. Okay, here we go. The Tuesday episode will include an interview with not 1, but 2.
What? Is this an infomercial?
Major, 2 major guests. We will be interviewing James Waugh, who's the executive producer, and Kanako Shirasaki, the producer of Star Wars Visions, which is releasing on Wednesday. We are super excited.
Yeah, don't say any more. Okay, be careful.
Okay. All right. I think we're safe with what we shared at this point. And again, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end. If you are a regular listener of the show, please give us some feedback. First of all, thank you to all of you guys that are giving us that feedback in the email. It means a lot to us. We are focused on trying to make this the most entertaining and engaging conversation that we can make it. And so, if you can help us by giving us an email and answering this question. What is your favorite podcast and why? Now, some of you have been so gracious and said that we were your favorite podcast, and that's awesome. But that's not what we're like. We're not baiting you to try to send us emails saying that. We really want to get your absolute honest feedback. Send it to feedback@TatooineSons.com. Everyone who emails us will be entered into a drawing, and then one lucky winner will get a really fun Turbis shirt from Designed by Humans. So again, please send us your email no later than September 30th, 2021. That email address is once again feedback@TatooineSons.com. And then please take a second to share this episode with all the nerds and the geeks in your life. The most significant way the show grows is when you give us reviews and then you tell other people about it. Word of mouth is awesome. All right. Well, Thanks for listening to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast.
Yeah, and if you had a good time listening, like we just mentioned, it would be awesome if you could share this with your friends.
Yeah. And of course, the show's only a small part of the Tatooine Sons world. So be sure to like us on Facebook, join our Facebook discussion group, and follow us on Twitter to get in on all the action and keep up to date on everything we've got going on at TatooineSons.com.
That's right. And don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss our next special episode and the other special episode and then our regular episodes. And remember that if you drop us a review at podchaser.com/Tatooine Sons, we are going to make a donation in your honor to one child to help a child living in extreme poverty. Okay, gentlemen, anything else you'd like to say?
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.